Welcome to the course on OpenAPI specification and Swagger tools. So this course will make you master on OpenAPI specification and Swagger tools. So before I try to cover the agenda of this course, let me explain you quickly what is an OpenAPI specification. So OpenAPI specification is a standard that is majorly used by the industry to describe our APIs. Like if you are into a scenario where you are dealing with the APIs on day-to-day basis, then it is advisable you to master this OpenAPI specification so that you are following the standard in describing your APIs. So that brings to another question, like why should I describe my APIs with the help of OpenAPI specification? So if you are building a lot of APIs inside your organization, there is a good chance that these APIs may get consumed by other client applications or other organizations. So whenever you are into these kind of scenarios, definitely you will get hell lot of questions from your consumers asking about what is the format of your request for your APIs, what is the format of your response for your APIs, what are the security requirements, what are the validations that you have inside your APIs. So these are all the kind of questions that you may face from your consumers or from your QA team whenever you are building APIs, and you can't go and explain for all the people and for all the consumers about your APIs. So instead what you can do is you can describe your APIs by following the standard, which is OpenAPI specification. And once you master about OpenAPI specification, you can also take help from the Swagger tools available to make your lives easy whenever you are dealing with the APIs. So that's why it's very important you mastering OpenAPI specification and Swagger tools if you are dealing with a lot of APIs on day-to-day basis. So now let me walk you through the agenda of this course so that you are clear about what we are going to discuss inside this course. So we'll start this course first by entering into the world of OpenAPI, and in the process we are going to talk about what is an OpenAPI, what are the problems it is trying to solve, what are the advantages that we get whenever we follow OpenAPI specification. So once we are clear about OpenAPI introduction, we are also going to talk about history of OpenAPI and Swagger. So there is a lot of confusion inside the industry about the relationship between OpenAPI and Swagger. That's why we're also going to spend few minutes understanding the relationship between them. So once we are clear about the relationship between Swagger and OpenAPI, we will jump into the Swagger tools. We are going to spend good amount of time understanding various Swagger tools available, and Swagger tools has both open source tools and commercial tools. We are going to explore all of them so that you are clear and you can start using them inside your projects, and you can make your life very easy by using these Swagger tools. And once we are clear with the Swagger tools, we are going to discuss how to get started with OpenAPI specification in two kind of scenarios. The very first scenario is code first scenario. So inside code first scenario, we will think like you are into a situation where the backend code or the code related to your APIs is already available, but you just wanted to describe them with the help of OpenAPI specification. And the second scenario or the approach that you might be into is design first scenario. So in this scenario, we will think like you got a request from client saying that you have to develop so and so APIs, and you have to describe your APIs with the help of OpenAPI specification before you start the development. So we'll take both these two scenarios and we'll try to talk about how to approach with OpenAPI specification with these kind of scenarios. So once we are clear about this basic concept, we are going to jump into the advanced topics like how to write a valid OpenAPI YAML document. So in the process, I'm going to explain all the syntaxes, all the elements and fields, objects that are supported by the OpenAPI specification. And once you write a basic OpenAPI YAML document, we are going to talk about how to write reusable content inside your OpenAPI document with the help of components object. So once you are clear about this reusable content inside OpenAPI with the help of components, we are going to talk about what are the data types supported by the OpenAPI and what are the scenarios that we need to use them. And during the discussion, we are also use them inside our OpenAPI specification document, and we are going to do a lot of hands-on. And once we are clear about these data types, we are going to look into a super complex topic, which is inheritance and polymorphism inside OpenAPIs, like how to use these concepts inside your OpenAPI specification so that you are following good standards or best practice while you are defining OpenAPI specifications. And by the time we are done with these advanced concepts, we will become master of OpenAPI specification, but we will not stop there and we'll continue to discuss other interesting topics like how to describe your API security with the help of OpenAPI specification, followed by how to mock APIs with the help of OpenAPI specification. So we'll take a scenario where we want to mock the APIs with the help of OpenAPI specification. And whenever we are mocking the APIs, both the consumers and producers, they can start their development parallelly, and the consumers, they never have to wait for the producers to complete the backend API logic. Instead, they can rely on these mock APIs that we can generate with the help of OpenAPI specification. And after these mock APIs, we are also going to look at how to generate the client code and server stubs using your OpenAPI specification. So this is one of the great advantage whenever you define your APIs with the help of OpenAPI specification. You don't have to write the initial skeleton code or initial code for your APIs. Whether you are a consumer or a producer, you can generate the code within seconds. And as a developer, you just have to write the actual business logic and everything else will be taken care by the code that we generated with the help of Swagger tools. And after code generation, we are also going to explore how to deploy and host our OpenAPI specification documents so that all your consumers, they can always go to that website or URL and they can always find your latest and greatest OpenAPI document which they can refer on day-to-day basis. So these are all the high-level topics that we are going to discuss, and I also want to assure you that all these complex concepts are going to be explained in an easily understandable format. Like you can see, these are the sample topics and the slides that we are going to discuss inside this section. So using this approach, I'm sure you are going to love the content of the course and you can learn all these complex topics very easily. And apart from theory, I also want to assure you that we are going to consider a fiction web application based upon e-commerce, and we are going to build a lot of APIs, and during the same process I'm going to explain each and every concept inside OpenAPI specification. So this is how our OpenAPI specification is going to look like by end of this course. I also want to assure you that I'm going to share all the OpenAPI specification samples that we are going to discuss by using a GitHub repository. Along with this OpenAPI specification YAML documents, I'm going to share you all the content that we are going to discuss in a PDF document so that in future, whenever you want to quickly brush up all this concept, you can simply refer to this PDF document. And this PDF document also will save your time. Like you don't have to take notes while taking this course because all the notes is already readily available inside this PDF. So with this, I have explained about this course on a high level, like all the agenda that we are going to discuss and what we are going to learn inside this course. So please don't hesitate in enrolling into this course. I'm sure you're going to like it. Thank you, and I'm hoping to see you in the next lecture. Bye.